Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:07 this Monday, 16th day of March. Thanks for tuning in here to O'Connor and Company as we get you started and get you off, or maybe because of the severe weather that's heading our way, maybe you'll just work from home, and that's not a bad idea either today. Coming up at 8:05, Maryland Delegate Mark Fisher, and then at 8:35, Ben Teleblu, Senior Director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. We'll get his perspective on the Strait of Hormuz there, where all the focus seems to be now for the military endeavor in Iran. It's Larry O'Connor with Bethany Mandel. Bethany, of course, the proprietress.
Don't do it. There you go.
Of the Substack, Mom Wars Substack, Mom Wars podcast. Go check that out. Good morning, Bethany.
Good morning, Larry O'Connor. I'm proud of you.
Joining us now is legal analyst, a friend of the program, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia, Joe Digenova. Joe, we got some very specific questions for you today as pertains to your old gig as the U.S. Attorney for D.C. So are you ready?
Yep.
All right. The first comes for you with your successor, Judge Jeanine Pirro is currently the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Apparently, a judge is now telling her that she can't investigate the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. The judge has frozen subpoenas for key records. This, of course, all having to do with alleged crimes with regard to the financing and lying to Congress about the budgets for the renovations of the Federal Reserve building. What legal basis does the judge have on this investigation?
None whatsoever. This is an unprecedented action by a federal judge, and it's usually the chief judge in any district that supervises the grand jury. So what Judge Boasberg did was, he quashed all the subpoenas that had been issued by the U.S. Attorney for records from the Federal Reserve. He has no authority to do that. He will be summarily reversed by the D.C. Circuit. Even a liberal D.C. Circuit will not be able to tolerate this. And if by chance the D.C. Circuit doesn't reverse, the Supreme Court will. This is an outrageous abuse of judicial power. Judges do not have the authority to interfere in the grand jury process. They have the authority to supervise it, to select grand jurors, but they do not manage grand jury investigations. This is an outrageous overreach by Judge Boasberg.
So I don't know how much you have seen of what's going on, what happened last night in Navy Yard. What is your sort of take? Because I personally wasn't aware that the National Guard had left. What's going on? What happened? How could it break down so quickly?
It's the nature of crime. When you have vigilance and oversight, crime goes away. When the monitor goes away, the crime comes back. It's very simple. Juvenile crime in the District of Columbia is supercharged. There's not much anybody can do about it unless the police department and others decide they're going to crack down, which they eventually did with the Navy Yard. They reimposed a time limit so that people couldn't be out after 8 o'clock, so a curfew. This is the nature of crime. You either take control of it all the time or you lose control of it. So nothing surprising about this. Crime is coming back because the monitoring is down.
Yeah. And they got to go back to the curfew. They got to go back. And by the way, the D.C. Police Department, Metro Police, continues to have a recruiting problem. They've got huge vacancies that have to be filled, and this is what happens in a big city when you don't hire cops and when you don't make life, hospitable so that cops want the job.
That's exactly right. Recruiting is down all over the country, except in southern states and red states where recruiting is up.
Yeah. We're speaking with Joe Digenova, former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia. And, Joe, I saw this article on the Federalist. Margot Cleveland's a pretty great reporter when it comes to issues involving our federal courts and the FBI and the DOJ. This goes back to 2020 when William Barr was the Attorney General. And apparently there was an FBI informant that was whistleblowing on a whole bunch of crimes and corruption centered around the Biden family, their ties to Ukraine, Hunter Biden, pay for play, all the stuff that sort of we learned about over the course of the Biden presidency. What's noteworthy about this article, Joe, is that it appears as though it was the FBI itself that tried to and did succeed in getting in the way of the attorney general investigating and trying to find out the bottom of these crimes conducted by the Biden family. This is you tell me, but it seems like a textbook example of what often is referred to as the deep state within the FBI and the DOJ.
Yes. Well, interesting you should say that, Larry, because Victoria and I just had a fascinating incident the other day in United States District Court dealing directly with this. This is what is known as Operation Round River. This was a secret, illegal FBI operation to basically interfere with the free speech rights of people who were criticizing the Biden family and what the Biden family was doing in Ukraine. The other day in U.S. District Court, we finally got 3 documents that we had been seeking in a Freedom of Information Act, and it was the 3 search warrants in affidavits in support of the search warrants against Victoria in 2019 and 2021. We got 160 pages of documents, and every single page was completely redacted because the entire operation was classified. What the FBI did was they created a classified illegal operation called Operation Round River, where they illegally spied on people who were on television commenting on the corruption of the Bidens in Ukraine. We are now in the process of trying to get those 3 affidavits declassified, all 160 pages, and we'll see if the Trump administration is capable of not getting in its own way.
Yeah. So let's just be clear so everybody understands. President Trump is the president. He's running against Joe Biden, or it appears as though Joe Biden's going to be the nominee for the Democrats. William Barr is the attorney general. This is the Trump administration. And this was Christopher Wray's FBI that actually created an operation called Round River, and the entire operation was to go after people like you and your wife, Victoria Tonsing, who were on television giving analysis on what appeared to be corrupt dealings between the Biden family and the Ukrainian government?
That is correct. And here's what Christopher Wray did. They conducted this illegal, unconstitutional surveillance of telephone records, emails, iCloud, Google, Apple, everything. And then when they stopped it, they put it in what's called prohibited files, so that if a subpoena were issued for the records, they would never be produced. Or if Congress was doing oversight, it would never be produced. Or if the Attorney General asked a question about it, the records would never be produced. Christopher Wray should be behind bars, and I hope he will be through the grand jury in the Southern District of Florida.
Joe, one other question here. It seems like when we learn about this stuff, it's either a document dump from Tulsi Gabbard, from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, or Kash Patel and Pam Bondi will hand stuff over to Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Why is that the only thing that happened? You just mentioned a grand jury. It seems to me that Attorney General Bondi and FBI Director Patel, instead of just handing stuff over for public disclosure to Senator Grassley, should instead be presenting those documents as evidence in a proceeding.
Well, you have just raised the key issue in this, Larry. This is Kafkaesque. The Attorney General of the United States wants to declassify these documents, and so do Kash Patel. They are getting resistance from the intelligence community because they fear the damage that will be done if this is released. This is absolutely outrageous.
Wait, I got to jump in. They fear the damage that will be done to them, right? To their agencies, not to our, not damage, to our international relationships or damage to our ability to collect intelligence on our enemies. They're worried it's going to hurt them.
Absolutely, and there is an institutional resistance to this. We're not quite sure where the CIA director is on this yet, but we're working on this very, very diligently. And the process is that, and by the way, Grassley and Ron Johnson, the 2 senators, have been fabulous in getting this stuff declassified. Mm-hmm. And they are now working with Patel to try and get all this information out. By the way, the reason it's great that it goes to them is that as soon as Grassley gets the declassified information, he puts it out for the press and the public to read. If it goes into a grand jury, you may never see it for years.
Yeah, No, I hear you. It's just that Grassley can't indict anyone, and that's what people want.
Once it's out, but by the way, the Department of Justice could have this information anytime it wants. So the question is, who is obstructing the release of the information and the declassification of all these documents? There is no longer any reason for any of these documents to be classified.
Joe Digenova, thanks for the convo. Appreciate it. I'm sure people are listening this morning. I guarantee you they are. It's 7:16. And I want to remind you that Delegate Mark Fisher of the Maryland House of Delegates is going to be joining us coming up at 8:05 in this program. But let's give you a little preview here because we're Marylanders, aren't we, Bethany? You consider yourself a Marylander now?
I'm not sure I want to be after this next segment, but I don't really know.
There's a brand new bill that is supposed to modernize the Constitution of the state of Maryland. And how are they going to modernize it? Well, they're going to rewrite it with gender-neutral language. Here, take a listen to Delegate Brian Chisholm and Mark Fisher explain.
House Bill 1488 is a constitutional amendment, and its purpose is to modernize, Brian, the Constitution by using they, them, and all kinds of other pronouns that are almost impossible to understand. This bill has been introduced by Delegate Dana Jones of Anne Arundel County, which is in Brian's delegation here in the state of Maryland. And I just want to read one little factoid before I turn this over to Brian so you can get a feel for what this does. So, for example, the Declaration of Rights, they don't use mankind, they use humanity. Instead of man, they use person. Instead of him, they use them. And they use the word there, T-H-E-I-R, a whole bunch. Yeah. It's so confusing, I don't even know what it says. Brian.
And a lot of places where it's supposed to be singular because we have one governor, it's plural, right? Because it says himself is removed by themselves, and then I think then it has theyselves in there somewhere as well. And she brought a panel in of people we should all be proud of. And she goes, don't you think we should honor these women? And I'm like, yes, we should honor these women. True. Nothing more insulting than saying we're going to honor these women by saying they have no sex at all. They're not male or female. It's crazy. So, in history, they're going to look back and they're going to have a hard time figuring out whether our governors were people or a male or a female or more than one, because they and themselves is really more than one.
They're calling this the dumbest bill in America, and that might be understating the case. I cannot believe that our state is wasting time on this, let alone the money it will cost to rewrite our Constitution and other legal documents to be gender neutral.
But is it so bad, Larry? Because everything else is fine. There's nothing else they need to be doing right now.
That's true. All the other challenges facing Marylanders has been solved. Yeah.
I feel really comfortable with my Pepco bill.
Yeah.
I think things are fine. So let's have them spend all of this time arguing about how to destroy the English language, and then maybe then they'll shift to what percentage of children in Baltimore can read.
Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
5%?
I believe it's 0 actually graduating from public schools in Baltimore County. It might be 0. At least at proficient levels, graduation levels. Yeah, it's, by the way, Maryland is one of the 13 colonies. It was part of the Revolution. We rejected the idea of a monarchy, where they use we to describe themselves all the time. The royal we is something that we actually fought and died for in the Revolution. Why would we be adopting language like that King George would have applied? Meanwhile, right now, the report card for this Maryland session from Mark Fisher, who will be joining us, session ends next month, basically a month from now. They've done nothing to fix the exploding structural deficit, which is headed to $3 to $4 billion soon. Nothing for relief from the crushing electricity hikes. Go ahead with your Pepco bills because you're not getting any sort of support from Annapolis. They've done nothing to roll back the car registration fees. And they've done nothing to help property tax for struggling homeowners right now who are facing skyrocketing bills because of reassessment. But They are changing the language in the Constitution to be gender neutral and friendly. So you got that going for you. That'll help.
Yeah, I think it's great, and this is why satisfaction in Maryland is so high. And when you look at those like U-Haul reports of, who's coming into a state and who's coming out of a state, it's this kind of prioritization that leads people to flock to blue states and decide like this is where I want to retire.
That's
and
where I
want to
live the rest of my life. Yeah. Now, the only difference this year is that Virginia has gotten so bad that those U-Hauls are leaving Maryland.
That's right.
They're going right past the Old Dominion and settling in Tennessee. It's 7:23.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37, Monday, the 16th day of March. So what do you need to know about this Monday? First of all, we are one day away from St. Patrick's Day. It's St. Patty's Eve. So how does that work? I know with Sabbath, Bethany, it starts at sundown. So can I start drinking at sundown today?
Yes, that's the
And
law.
I'll just
It's
be absolutely...
Erev St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, thank you.
Erev St. Patrick's Day, yes, 100%.
That's exactly what I'm going to be doing
I did
here.
it again. It's my son's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Your son was born on St. Patty's Day.
My St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, Timothy Patrick O'Connor Mandel. If I believe.
It's funny because I wanted to give him the middle name Patrick, and my husband vetoed it, and I really should have gone to bat.
My cousin Timmy O'Connor, he was born like a few months before me, so we call each other cousin brother. We're like cousin brothers, and his dad and my dad were very close in age as well. They were best friends, and so he's my cousin brother. And his son, his firstborn son, is my cousin brother Tim O'Connor. His son was born on St. Patrick's Day.
I love it.
And he named him Timothy Patrick O'Connor.
Oh, my God. That's
And
the
it
most
was like,
Irish name
that
ever.
kid will never buy himself a drink on St. Patrick's Day ever. All he's got to do is show his ID. Born on St. Patrick's. His name is Timothy Patrick. It's done. It's over.
For his first birthday, I threw a party for my mom friends, and it was all like stay-at-home mom people, and it was just a booze in the middle of the day party.
Yes.
And I realized that I needed new mom friends when no one drank anything.
Oh, my gosh.
I was
Wait a second.
horrified.
Not the mom friends I know that you know.
No. This was when I was like, I really need to lean in on I had the hardest first year with this kid, and I was like, I am going to get tipsy midday on his first birthday to reward myself for surviving his first year.
You should. Yeah.
And then I got straight up drunk because I had opened champagnes for mimosas and no one drank it. And I was like, well, I can't let it go to waste.
I know your circle of friends now, and that would never happen.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, here's what you also need to know about this St. Patrick's Day. We could be recovering from a insane springtime storm that is due to hit later this afternoon. Now, the National Weather Service has put it. You know, Meredith is from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. When you're from Oklahoma, you are born with every weather app on your phone. I think it comes on the day of your birth. You leave the hospital. She's got all these weather apps because she used to live in Tornado Alley, right there in South Oklahoma City, right near Moore, where the hurricanes come in and just destroy everything on a regular basis. She's kind of my weather girl. Like when big storms are coming around, I'll turn to Meredith and I say, "Can you check this out? Is this real?" And yesterday, her eyes got as big as saucers, and she was like, "Oh, this is a serious storm cell that's coming through here." The National Weather Service right now, the Prediction Center, has placed the area, this entire area, by the way, this includes the entire Chesapeake Bay, from the southern border of Pennsylvania all the way down to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, in a level 3 out of 5 risk zone for severe storms all day today. We've already got some precipitation going right now, but it's going to get very dicey as the afternoon develops. And they are predicting right now severe thunderstorms, hail, and tornadoes. And it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly the hottest spots. But so right now, pretty much everybody in the area, including the entirety of the District of Columbia, needs to be on high alert.
So last week, when you kept on saying every hour that it was going to snow later that day, and we started the morning show at 5 a.m. and it was 67 degrees, I'm gonna be honest with you, Larry.
Yeah.
I truthered it,
Yeah.
and I didn't believe it.
And then
And
what
I
happened?
went to a reception.
Yeah.
You should follow me on Instagram. I don't know if you do, but I went to a reception at the White House, completely inappropriately dressed, and then it started to blizzard. My phone died and it was so wet that I couldn't plug in my external charger. And so I got lost. I walked all the way around in no socks, a short skirt and loafers.
With
And
like
I
three inches of snow falling.
uh-huh. And I got so cold that I finally got to an entrance at the White House, and the Secret Service had me on their list and they let me in, but I didn't know where to go and I didn't have a phone to look at the map. And a woman took pity on me because I looked so bad that, and by the way, I asked the Secret Service how homeless I looked, and they put me on a scale of 9 out of 10. I looked that homeless because I looked so bad. So a
I
woman
need
took
to
pity
know.
on me
Yeah.
and led me into the White House through the basement because she's like, we got to get you out. We got to get you out of the cold.
Amazing.
So this entire bizarro story that's only like a this town story is to say I learned my lesson, and I'm not going to truther your weather reports
You
ever
should listen
again.
I'm not like talking about the weather for my own health. It's not like I
know.
enjoy doing
I know.
this.
I didn't believe you. I'm not going to lie. But now that you've brought in Meredith's expertise,
Yeah.
now I'm sold.
Oh, thanks.
MCPS just issued. I know it's Meredith that did it for me. If I'm just being honest, MCPS just issued a early dismissal notification.
Yep.
So
There you go.
check
Montgomery
it out,
County
y'all.
Schools already on it. You want to be in touch with your local public school system and your private schools for that matter, because they usually follow the public schools. The storm's supposed to unfold in this way from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is what they're calling round one, where there are
no.
possible rotating supercells, hail, and tornado potentials. Now, that round one looks like it's going to hit the district, yes, and then everything north. So that means Baltimore, Annapolis, all the way up the Chesapeake Bay. Round two is supposed to hit 3 to 7 p.m. with a squall line. Yeah, you heard me. Squall line with embedded kinks of spin. These aren't the
Kinks
words.
of
I'm not
spin.
making up these words.
I
all right?
really
This is
last week
weather
when you
stuff.
talked about the cherry blossom stage blooming, I absolutely thought that was a weird, creepy thing that you made up.
Widespread wind gusts up to 75 miles an hour. This is 3 to 7 p.m. with round two. Isolated spin-up tornadoes, which, by the way, was my anonymous internet name for the early days of AOL. Spin-up
Kinks
tornado.
of spin was absolutely your weird nickname.
Absolutely. Know how to shelter properly if there is a tornado that touches down. And that's not unprecedented. We had some tornadoes touch down in Annapolis that actually demolished a few houses about 3 years ago.
Whoa.
So keep an eye out for that. This is a serious thing, especially if you live near the bay or near the rivers as this thing flies in. So good luck with it today, and keep it right here on WMAL as we've got our Weather Channel forecasts and updates all through the day. Right now, it is 7:44. Do you remember when Pokemon Go was a big thing, Bethany? Did you play this? Did your kids play this? I mean, adults were doing this too. I was doing it. I'm trying to remember which political convention. It must have been 2016 when it first broke, because I remember being at the RNC in Cleveland and playing Pokemon Go like during the convention. Do you remember this?
So I say this as someone who has multiple Alexas in her house,
Yeah.
but I extremely saw Pokemon Go as a data mining.
Well, you are correct.
Thing.
I mean, I guess I knew that it was too, but I didn't quite. It didn't seem like it was intruding on my. Wait, and by the way, it wasn't intruding on your privacy. Pokemon Go wasn't. What it was, though, is basically everyone around the world was playing Pokemon Go, and if you remember right, basically you'd be walking down the street wherever you were in whatever city, and there's a Pokemon, you got to catch it. And then there were other areas that were like the gymnasiums, the hubs, where you would go and you would battle with other people. And my kid, who's now 21 and at UC San Diego, he still will play it sometimes because he just loved it. It was like a game of his youth 10 years ago. Well, now it turns out that, yes, the entire thing was data mining. Basically, they put this game out, and got people all around the world addicted to it. And what all of those legions of people playing Pokemon Go was really doing was taking video and photographic images of everywhere around the planet. And this company, 143 million people were playing this game. And what it ended up doing, Niantic was the company that created it. And they've now disclosed that the photos and the AR scans collected through Pokemon Go have now produced a data set of over 30 billion real-world images from around the planet. And the company is now using that data to power visual navigation AI for delivery robots, like drones and stuff that will be delivering packages all around the world. And they've collected all of these images so that they can utilize that to create the AI maps. So, I mean, in a weird way, it's brilliant.
Yes.
They basically, instead of hiring people to go out and take pictures and video of the entire planet, which would have cost, $100 million, they created this game where everybody was out there playing with Pokemon. And unwittingly, they've been collecting all of the photos and all of the videos of the entire planet so that they can now use it for artificial intelligence drone deliveries.
So what makes me nervous about it is that I don't think that 10 years ago they had this in mind. No one knew AI 10 years ago or even had, an idea of how powerful it could become. They captured the data and now are just selling it.
And then they said, now what are we going to do with it?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so as someone, I'm going to unvictory lap myself because I was a dum-dum and I participated in 23andMe. I gave them my DNA for God's sake.
Really intrusive stuff.
What
I did not.
Idiot I was.
Yeah, you basically violated your own constitutional rights. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here's the reporter. This is in Belgium, a reporter in Brussels, explaining this probably better than I just did. Here, take a listen.
Okay, so it turns out the Pokemon Go era wasn't a collective mental breakdown. It was an unpaid internship. Every single person who wandered into a cemetery at midnight, walked into a lamppost, or stood in the rain outside a Walgreens for 20 minutes. Trying to catch a Snorlax was actually doing data entry for the robot economy. No V2, no benefits, not even a thank you email. Niantic Spatial, the AI spun out from the company that invented the reason your uncle fell into a fountain in 2016, just revealed it has been sitting over 30 billion crowdsourced urban images this whole time. Every Pokestop photo, every IR snapshot, every I need to physically walk to this location moment has been quietly stacking up into the most detailed street-level data set on the planet.
There you go. A very cute little accent, too, by the way, from our Belgium reporter there. Yeah, you were scanning landmarks, storefronts, parks, sidewalks from every single angle at every time of day in lighting and weather conditions. They couldn't have paid for this kind of data collection that you all did. I did it, too. My kids did it, too, playing Pokemon Go. And that they then documented the physical world at a scale no mapping company with a fleet of vehicles could have ever replicated on the same timeline or budget. And now, and who knows, if you agree with automated delivery systems and all that stuff, it'll end up being a really good thing. Or if you're worried about the surveillance state and you think the government has access to all that now, well, then probably it's a bad thing. It's probably both. What are you going to do?
I mean,
what are you going to do?
Just it felt
at least
like
you didn't hand over your DNA willingly.
I know, but it felt like an episode of Star Trek. When they had the game, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, the little holodeck thing, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's 754.
And they should have done a Star Trek episode about giving your DNA to a corporation, then I would have been smarter. Oh well, lessons learned.